Okay, so there's this great story. Kurt Vonnegut, the writer, he's at a party on Shelter Island with his friend Joseph Heller, Catch-22 Heller.
Legendary.
And Vonnegut points out that their host, some hedge fund guy, made more money in one day than Heller got from Catch-22 over its entire history.
Wow. Yeah.
And Heller just says, yes, but I have something he will never have. Pauses. Enough.
Enough. Such a powerful word. Really cuts to the core of it, doesn't it?
It really does. And that's what we're diving into today, this whole idea of enough, how crucial it is, how often we miss it, especially with money and success.
And the dangers, right. The surprising dangers when you don't know when enough is enough.
Yeah.
Even for people who, seem to have absolutely everything.
Exactly. Why do incredibly rich people sometimes risk it all chasing just more? That's the big question we're tackling.
Yeah. And we've pulled together some really compelling real-world stories, examples and, observations that shed light on, well, human nature, ambition, our whole relationship with wealth.
The goal is to kind of unpack why this happens, not just what happened. Look at the psychology, the financial thinking, and what lessons you might take away.
Makes sense.
Okay, so let's dig in. First up, Rajat Gupta. Now, here's someone whose story is just remarkable. He started in Kolkata, really tough background, orphaned as a teenager.
A genuinely humble beginning. Not exactly born on third base.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Couldn't see the stadium, like we said. But his rise, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, mid-40s, he's CEO of McKinsey.
The most prestigious consulting firm in the world, arguably.
And he doesn't just retire quietly. He gets involved with the UN, the World Economic Forum, philanthropy with Bill Gates, sits on boards for 5 huge companies.
So incredible success, and obviously with that comes, well, serious wealth. By 2008, he's reportedly worth $100 million.
$100 million.
Just pause on that. Even a pretty conservative 5% return on that, that's nearly $600 an hour.
Wow.
24 hours a day, whether he's working or sleeping.
Right. So he has the success, the money, the prestige, the power, freedom. You have to ask, what more could he possibly need or, want? What was driving him?
That's the $1 million question. Or, I guess, the $100 million question.
Right. It seems almost irrational. But apparently what he wanted wasn't just to be a centimillionaire. Rajat Gupta aimed higher. He wanted to be a billionaire.
He's on the Goldman Sachs board, surrounded by these titans of finance.
And he felt like that circle, the Goldman circle, was just the hundreds of millions, not the real elite, the billionaire circle. That's how he saw it.
Which is an incredible perspective to have when you're already worth $100 million.
It really is. So fast forward to 2008. The financial crisis is hitting. Warren Buffett steps in, plans to invest $5 billion into Goldman Sachs to stabilize things.
Huge deal. Massive news.
And Gupta, as a board member, finds out before anyone else. And then, it's critical, 16 seconds after hearing about the deal in a board call, he hangs up and calls Rajaratnam, a hedge fund manager.
16 seconds. Wow.
Rajaratnam immediately goes and buys 175,000 shares of Goldman Sachs.
Just before the news breaks.
Exactly. Hours later, the Buffett deal is announced, Goldman stock surges, and Rajaratnam makes a cool $1 million. Just like that.
Instant profit based on inside information.
And the end result, utterly tragic. Both Gupta and Rajaratnam end up in prison for insider trading, careers gone, reputations destroyed.
Just thrown away. All for what felt like more.
It's a stark example. Reaching for more when you already have so much. But then there's Bernie Madoff. Everyone knows his name, right? The Ponzi scheme guy.
Synonymous with financial fraud, yeah.
But what often gets lost, I think, is that Madoff, kind of like Gupta in a way, was actually a massively successful, legitimate businessman before it all went wrong.
That's a really important point. People forget that. His market-making firm, Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, it was huge. Very profitable.
How profitable are we talking?
Well, he was a pioneer in electronic trading, basically taking volume away from the New York Stock Exchange floor. His firm handled something like 9% of the NYSE's average daily volume off exchange.
Wow, 9%.
Yeah. And that legitimate business, it was making him somewhere between $25 million and $50 million a year, every year, legally.
25 to 50 million
a
year. And still, he builds this massive Ponzi scheme on the side.
Exactly. Which brings us back to that core question for both Gupta and Madoff, right?
Yeah. Why? Why would people worth hundreds of millions, with all the prestige, power, freedom you could imagine, why risk everything for more money?
It's not like stealing bread because you're starving. This is something else entirely.
It feels fundamentally different. What does it tell us about, I don't know, the psychology of wealth or maybe just human nature?
Well, it's fascinating because you see versions of this same thinking even when it's not criminal. Take long-term capital management, LTCM, that hedge fund that blew up spectacularly in
Yeah, I
98.
remember that. Nobel laureates on their board, super geniuses.
Exactly. And the traders themselves, they were personally loaded. Tens, hundreds of millions each. Most of their own money was tied up in the fund.
Okay.
But they chased more. They leveraged themselves to the absolute hilt, taking on enormous risk. And then they lost it all, wiped out.
And this was in 1998. Not exactly a terrible market then.
No. It was in the middle of a huge bull market, a strong economy. It wasn't market conditions that ruined them. It was their own insatiable desire for more, leading to unbearable risk.
Warren Buffett had something to say about LTCM, didn't he? He always has the perfect line.
He really does.
Right.
He said, to make money they didn't have and didn't need, they risked what they did have and did need.
Oof.
And that's foolish. It is just plain foolish. If you risk something that is important to you for something that is unimportant to you, it just does not make any sense.
Plain foolish.
Yeah.
It really cuts through it. So these stories, Gupta, Madoff, LTCM, they all seem to point towards this dangerous pursuit of more. So what's the takeaway? Maybe the first big insight here is that the hardest financial skill isn't making money. It's getting the goalpost to stop moving.
That's a great way to put it. Because what happens? Your results go up, but your expectations often go up just as fast, or maybe even faster.
So you never actually feel like you're getting ahead.
Exactly. You put in extra effort, get more money, more power, whatever, but you just want more of it. Ambition outpaces satisfaction.
And the goalpost just keeps shifting further away.
Right, and then you feel like you're falling behind even though you're objectively doing great. And that feeling, that's what can push you to take bigger and bigger risks to try and catch up.
It's like modern capitalism is brilliant at creating wealth and envy.
They definitely feed each other. Wanting to keep up, wanting to surpass others, that can drive hard work. But, life's no fun if you never feel like you have enough. Happiness, maybe it really is just results minus expectations.
And a huge driver of those rising expectations seems to be, well, looking around at what other people have.
Yeah.
Social comparison.
Oh, absolutely. That's the engine right there. Think about that rookie baseball player you mentioned. Makes $500,000 a year, objectively rich.
Totally. Life-changing money for most people.
But maybe he's on the same team as Mike Trout, who signed that $430 million contract.
Suddenly, $500,000 feels not so rich.
He feels broke by comparison. It's all relative.
And it doesn't stop there, does it?
Not at all. Mike Trout, making $36 million a year. Maybe he compares himself to the top hedge fund managers. Back in 2018, the top 10 guys each made at least $340 million.
$340 million in 1 year.
Right. And those guys, maybe they look at the top 5 who made over $770 million each.
Okay, this is getting absurd.
It is. And even they can look up at someone like Warren Buffett. His personal wealth went up by, $3.5 billion in 2018?
$3.5 billion.
That's an amount that would take our rich baseball player making $500,000 a year 7,000 years to earn.
7,000 years. Okay, so the point is, the ceiling keeps going up and up.
It's effectively infinite. You can always find someone with more, which means trying to win at social comparison. It's unwinnable.
So the only way to win is not to play.
Pretty much. You have to just opt out, except that enough might be less than what the person next door has, and that's okay.
It reminds me of that Las Vegas casino dealer story.
Oh, yeah.
A friend of mine goes every year, asks a dealer, what games do you play? And the dealer says, dead serious, the only way to win in a Las Vegas casino is to exit as soon as you enter.
Ah, that's perfect.
And it's exactly the same with trying to keep up with other people's money, right? You got to know when to walk away, know when you have enough.
Precisely. Which leads nicely into, I think, the third key insight here.
Okay, what's that?
That enough is not too little. It doesn't mean being unambitious or, leaving perfectly good opportunities untouched.
Right. It's not about settling for mediocrity or playing it super safe all the time.
No, it's more fundamental. It's about realizing that the opposite of enough, that insatiable appetite for more, always reaching, will eventually push you too far. It leads to regret.
How so?
Well, think about eating. How do you know your absolute limit? You'd have to eat until you literally get sick.
Yeah, not pleasant.
Exactly. Nobody does that because vomiting feels way worse than any extra bite of food tastes good. The downside outweighs the upside.
Makes sense.
But for some reason, that logic doesn't always stick when it comes to business or investing. People keep pushing, keep reaching for more until they break.
Until they burn out or make a terrible investment decision or...
Or like Gupta and Madoff end up doing something illegal
Yeah.
because, in their minds, every dollar is worth reaching for, no matter the cost.
That inability to say no to just one more potential dollar, it catches up to you, turns potential gain into definite, often catastrophic loss.
You know, after Gupta got out of prison, he told the New York Times something interesting. He said the lesson was, don't get too attached to anything, your reputation, your accomplishments, or any of it.
He said, I think about it now, what does it matter? Okay, this thing unjustly destroyed my reputation. That's only troubling if I am so attached to my reputation.
Wow. That sounds, I don't know, like a coping mechanism, like trying to rationalize away the loss.
It's easy to see it that way, maybe the worst possible takeaway, right?
Yeah.
A way to feel okay about something that really isn't okay. Suggesting reputation doesn't matter after yours is, frankly, ruined by your own actions.
Yeah, because let's be real, reputation is valuable, massively valuable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so is freedom, independence, your family, your friends. Being loved by the people you want to love you, happiness itself. These things they're priceless.
Exactly. They are the things that truly matter. And your best shot, maybe your only shot, at keeping those invaluable things safe.
Is knowing when to stop taking risks that could destroy them.
Knowing when you have enough. It's the ultimate shield for what's truly important.
So understanding enough isn't just about money on a spreadsheet. It's about protecting your whole life, really, the things that actually make it worth living. Well said. It guards your freedom, your relationships, your peace of mind.
And the good news, maybe, the best tool for building that sense of enough. It doesn't require some complicated financial strategy or taking huge risks.
Not at all. It's simpler. It's more about perspective, about recognizing what you value and realizing that true wealth isn't just accumulation. It's also about knowing what you have and choosing not to risk it for something you don't truly need.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is, what does enough actually look like for you? What are those invaluable things you aren't willing to put at risk?